Seth Moulton has decided to end this presidential race. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, who the hell is Seth Moulton? Yeah, that was my reaction too when I read this because he was never on the debates. He wasn't making any headlines. So apparently, this guy was running for the president for the Democratic nomination, and he apparently just dropped out. I really don't know why I don't know why he dropped out this late. I mean, he wasn't getting any support. He wasn't on the debate stage, so I wonder why the hell did he wait this long to stop? So again, I don't blame you. If you haven't heard of him, I wouldn't blame you because this guy didn't get any news coverage, and it was hardly basically he didn't get any attention pretty much from what I know. Now, if you know who Seth Moulton is, props to you. You guys were lucky enough to know who this guy was. But like I said, there was too many candidates. There's too many. So many people. People do not have time to know everybody's name when it comes to politics. They have other important things to do. Sadly, that's how it goes. A lot of people that are just casuals when it comes to politics, they don't have that time to be looking at at the candidates, right? It's kind of like looking at a menu, right? You go to your favorite restaurant and then you look at the menu. You want to look and see, okay, what other things do they offer? And yeah, there's so many things you do not know. For example, you have, let's say, the X plate or something like that, whatever, right? You're looking at so many different plates and you're thinking, I don't know what the hell this is. So what do? You go to something that you're familiar with. In this case, for example, you go with someone like Bernie Sanders or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren. Why? Because the majority of the people have some familiarity with them. Especially Joe Biden. Joe Biden. I mean, seriously, if people didn't know Obama's vice president, then I don't know what to tell you. But Joe Biden, he has probably the most name recognition when it comes to the Democratic nomination. But like I said, there are so many options. A lot of people tend to go for the familiar stuff, right? Stuff that they know, the stuff that they already know, they already tried before, they already seen before. Like I said, a huge menu. You try to look up other things because you want to try something new, and you're like, you know what? All this stuff doesn't look good. I'm just gonna go back to what I eat. Okay. So this article from the New York Times and reads Seth Moulton ends 2020 presidential campaign with a warning. Representative Seth Moulton of Massachusetts is dropping out of the presidential race, ending a candidacy that emphasized Mr. Moulton's centrist politics and military service, but gained no traction with Democratic primary voters. Mr. Moulton, who was 40, said in an interview that he had no intimate plans to endorse another candidate, but he warmly praised former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. Mr. Moulton planned to announce the end of his campaign in a formal speech before the Democratic National Committee on Friday. Mr. Moulton suggested that most of the other Democratic candidates were also laboring in vain at this point, with only a tiny few, Mr. Biden, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, remaining as real competitors for the nomination. He warned in the interview that if Democrats were to embrace an overly liberal platform, it could make it harder for the party to defeat President Trump. And I agree. It really is. Like I said, nowadays the Democratic Party has gone so far left that it's really hard to win over moderates. Like really, like I told you now, call me biased if you want, but this is coming from a person who supported Bernie Sanders in 2016. I supported Bernie Sanders. I even in my old car, I actually had Bernie 2016 on my bump. I had a bumper sticker on it, and I think I still have my pin. I still have it in my old backpack. I think I had Bernie 2016. Literally had the button on one of my backpack straps. I was a huge supporter of Bernie, but 3 years later, I think the guy has gone really far left. Now he's talking about eliminating and canceling all student debt, providing, healthcare insurance to illegal immigrants. It's ridiculous. I mean, they're going so far left that they're risking losing moderates. And again, in general elections, you're not trying to win Republicans or Democrats. You're trying to win over moderates. Republicans are probably going to vote for the Republican, and the Democrats are probably going to vote for the Democrat. But moderates are the ones that people need to win over because they're the majority. Those are the people that aren't really loyal to either party. So you have to win them over. So I think Moulton does make a good point here that the Democratic Party, they need to at least rein it back a bit and use some sort of common sense to reach out moderates. Common sense in the sense that that they know that they need to win over moderates by the general election. If they want to go far left for the Democratic primary, that's that's their business. But when it comes to general election, if they go and try to appeal moderates and try to backtrack what they said in the primaries, they're risking losing Democrats. Democrats that voted for them because they said they're gonna push Medicare for all, and then in the general election they're saying, well, general Medicare for all is probably not a good idea, and then the Democrats are gonna get pissed. They're not gonna vote for that person, and the moderates are gonna be like, oh, okay, see what I mean? So he does make a point here. Mr. Moulton suggested that most of the Democratic candidates were also laboring in. Sorry, I read that already. Sorry. I think it's evident that this is now a three-way race between Biden, Warren, and Sanders. Yes, yes, that's pretty much what it is. Like really, like I agree with them too. There's too many. Let's just face it. The top contenders are Biden, Warren, and Sanders. They have the most drive to win. You know, Bernie Sanders already ran, so he has a name recognition. Biden the same. So I don't know. Sorry. So I'm gonna start again. I think it's evident that this is now a three-way race between Biden, Warren, and Sanders, and really it's a debate about how far left the party should go, Mr. Moulton said. Mr. Moulton said that he would run for re-election to the House, representing a coastal district to the north and east of Boston. Several other Democrats failed to run for a seat while Mr. Moulton was a presidential candidate, and he is likely to face a contested primary. Mr. Moulton said that he would also relaunch his political action committee, Serve America, to promote issues related to veterans and the military. Those issues, he said, were not getting the attention they deserve in the presidential race. With Mr. Moulton's departure, the sprawling Democratic field will shrink to 21 candidates. He is the fourth Democrat to leave the presidential race this summer, following Governor Jay Inslee of Washington, former Governor John Hickenlooper of Colorado, and Representative Eric Swalwell of California. Mr. Hickenlooper announced on Thursday that he would run for Senate. He's gonna run for Senate. Hickenlooper, damn, okay, smart move. Like I said, I'm not promoting Hickenlooper by any means, but again, Senate is a lot easier because again he's known in his state, so he has a better chance of winning that compared to the presidency. But okay, props to you, Hickenlooper. I guess congratulations. You actually decided to do a smart thing. Well, Mr. Inslee and Mr. Swalwell are running for re-election to their current posts. A combat veteran who served in the Iraq War, Mr. Moulton campaigned. Moulton? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I'm just going to go with Moulton for now. Mr. Moulton campaigned on themes of strengthening national defense, promoting public service, and criticizing Mr. Trump for damaging the country's most vital alliances. In May, he revealed that he struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder after returning from war, and called for new policies to attend to the mental health issues of soldiers and veterans. Stanley McChrystal, the retired general who led American forces in Afghanistan, endorsed Mr. Moulton's campaign. Mr. Moulton entered the race late, and a strategic choice he now concedes was a mistake. He announced his candidacy in late April, days before Mr. Biden became a candidate, and overshadowed much of the rest of the Democratic field. Failing to attract any substantial support in polls, Mr. Moulton did not qualify for inclusion in any of the televised debates, which require candidates to meet certain benchmarks in polling and financial support. Candidly, getting in the race late was a mistake, Mr. Moulton said. It was a bigger handicap than I expected. While Mr. Moulton said he will not cry about DNC rules being unfair, he said the party's debate setup was not a smart system to choose the best nominee to take on Donald Trump. He mentioned Governor Steve Bullock of Montana, a fellow moderator who has also strained to reach the debate stage as another candidate disadvantaged by the debate restrictions. I've always said that veering too far left could result in us losing this election, and that Trump will be harder to beat than most people think, Mr. Moulton said. He pointed to healthcare as an issue where some Democrats were at risk of alienating voters with calls to eliminate private insurance. Voters, he said, were on the side of strengthening Obamacare rather than implementing a single-payer system. Asked if that made him a Biden supporter, Mr. Moulton said, Mr. Moulton did not exactly say no. I'm not going to endorse anyone right away. But the vice president is a mentor and a friend, and I think he'd make a great president, Mr. Moulton said, adding, anybody in this race will be better than Donald Trump, and I will enthusiastically support whoever the nominee is. First elected to the House in 2014, Mr. Moulton made a name for himself as an insurgent in and outside of the chamber. He won his seat by defeating an incumbent Democrat, John F. Tierney, in a primary election, and played a rebellious role in the Democratic caucus as scathing critic of Speaker Nancy Pelosi, alienating senior lawmakers and influential Democratic women in the process. His appetite for rebellion stirred speculation that he would consider a 2020 primary challenge to Senator Edward J. Markey, a fellow Democrat. Mr. Moulton opted to run for president instead and said this week that the Senate candidacy was off the table. Mr. Markey is facing a potential challenge from Representative Joseph Kennedy III. I haven't honestly been paying attention to the debate, Mr. Moulton said of the brewing rivalry, but I'm a product of a primary. I think primaries are healthy. Mr. Moulton, who became a father last fall, said he had no regrets about the campaign except his late entry, and said that he hoped his infant daughter would one day see him as having done everything I could to defeat Trump. For now, Mr. Moulton said she'll just see her dad around a lot more. Again, too many options. And Mr. Moulton, like I said, if I had heard of him sooner, I would have probably supported him because he at least has the courage to call out the far leftist politics of the Democratic Party right now. Like I said, call me biased, call me, call me whatever you want. You have a right to do so. But again, I supported Bernie Sanders in 2016. I didn't like Hillary. I really didn't even vote for Hillary. In 2016, when it was Hillary versus Trump, I literally chose not to fill out that option. I voted for other things, state-related and all that stuff. But for Hillary and Trump, I wasn't voting for either of them. I was like, nope, I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm going to show the DNC that I'm not going to vote for Hillary because she clearly was the one the candidate that people wanted. People wanted Bernie. People were saying, burn your bust. A lot of people chose not to vote. I chose not to vote. But Moulton, at this point, I guess I do agree with him to some degree. He's a Democrat, sure. But I do agree with the way he's thinking right now. The Democrats are risking losing to Trump in the general election because they're going too far left. Again, that's up to you guys to decide. Do you guys believe Seth Moulton? Do you think he's right in the way he's saying that the Democratic Party, in this case, the candidates that are running right now, do you think they're going too far left? Did you even hear of Moulton until right now, until watching this video? Did you even hear of him until this point? Do you think that do you think there's too many candidates and it needs to be like literally dropped, like chopped off and leave the top contenders? Do you agree that it's just that Moulton? Do you agree with Moulton's statement in the sense that he believes that it's really a race between Biden, Warren, and Sanders? Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, hit the like button. Share the video as well. YouTube has direct independent political commentary, and the best thing you can do is just share the video. That lets me know that you like hearing what I have to say, and you want other people to hear what I have to say, regardless of whether or not you agree with me. That's your right, and I respect that right. Hey, let me know. Seriously though, let me know what you guys think in the comment section though, because I mean, this is a guy that I never even heard of, and yet he's making some good points as he's leaving the race. I feel like if he actually got a little bit more media attention, he might actually have a better chance of appealing to moderates. Because again, that's what matters. The moderates are what count in the general election. But again, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the notification button as well, that way you never miss an upload. The next two segments are focusing on. We're going to be focusing on Sanders versus Harris, of course, again, and then we're going to be focusing on Trump. So I hope you guys can stick around for those. If you cannot stick around, hopefully you can watch the next segments and on your own time. And if you can stick around, I'll see you guys in a little bit.